Motion to accept a motion to accept a special meeting minutes on September 26, 2017 as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
Any questions? Councilman Ostrander?
Yes.
Kerr?
Yes.
Blaisdell?
Yes.
Solonic?
Yes.
Supervisor Luzo?
Yes. Okay, 3 years ago, when I was here, we had a motion to set a public hearing for to override our 2% tax cap. We had that public hearing, and at that point in time, we decided that we didn't have to move forward with overriding the tax cap. At this point this year, with the budget workshops facing us and everything else, what we need to do is be prepared in case we do have to override this tax cap. So what I'd like to, the first step is to have a motion to set that public hearing. So I'd like to have a motion to set a public hearing on Wednesday, October 18th, 2017 at 6:35 p.m. on local law.
You don't put a number till you pass it.
Okay. 2017 to amend Chapter 4 of the Town Code to exceed the 2% tax cap for tax year 2018. May I have that motion, please? And this is just to set the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Benny. Second. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, we already have a public hearing set for the 18th at 6:35. You might want to move it down. Okay, then.
Okay. Let's put this. We'll put this one first, and then Boyhaven will be. Well, no, we already set Boyhaven at 6:35. So why don't we set it for 6:50 then? 6:50 on. Thank you, Barb. 6:50 on Wednesday, October 18th.
Councilman Blaisdell?
Yes.
Solonic?
Yes.
Supervisor Luzo?
Yes.
I did Ostrander?
Yes.
Councilman Ostrander? Kerr?
Yes.
Okay. Next is correspondence. Marianne Caroline Detroit is requesting a fee waiver for the use of Pavilion 2 on October 22nd, 2017. Her organization helps local children who have been abused. I explained to her that the town board could waive the fees. Could you please put this on the agenda for tomorrow's meeting, Laura? So with that, and under the circumstances of what this represents, I do believe that we should probably waive the fee for Mr. Detroit. So I'd like to have a motion to waive the fee for Pavilion 2 on October 22nd, 2017. May I have that motion, please?
They're still going to have to file all the other
Yes, that's correct.
paperwork for insurance and all the other
Yep.
stuff, right?
Yep.
Okay, now I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Ostrander?
Yes.
Kerr?
Yes.
Blaisdell?
Yes.
Solonic?
Yes.
Supervisor Luzo?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Next is a letter from Brian Hanley. Good morning. I'm writing this on behalf of all residents that have signed the attached petition. Some are not home, but I can go back to add more. We all want access to public water and are in favor of the 91 Hutchins Road senior housing. We realize it may cause us a little more traffic on Rollins Street. However, we understand that the towns grow, they do not shrink, especially a town in such an amazing location as Milton. We have faith in the planning board and public works that the roadways will also improve to keep up with the population growth. Reason we are requesting public water for at least the following reasons. Number one, the wells in the home in our streets are not typical. They are shallow wells. With a jet pump located in our basements, the wells are only dug 20 to 50 feet deep. They do not have an access hatch like most well casings for when things go wrong. In fact, we have no idea where the well even is. There are just a couple lines going out through the front of our foundation. That is all we know. We had to replace the pressure switch on it when we moved it in. Because it had failed and the pump with water would never shut off. It almost exploded. Number two, water pressure is minimal. When we had the water flow tested, it was at 3 gallons per minute. This is FHA minimum. We're only able to use one water source in our home at a time. It makes it difficult for appliances to operate. Our laundry almost always still has soap in it when it is done because there just isn't the blast of water to rinse it out. 3, incredible amount of iron in the water. Our tub was orange when we bought the house, and it takes constant cleaning to keep it white. The iron also destroys appliances. When you take a shower, your body feels slimy and it has a terrible smell. Number 4, sulfur smell. We have a problem with intermittent sulfur odors coming from the water. You go to fill up a cup and it smells like a rotten egg. Number 5, possible pollution. In the water from a 70-year-old automotive scrap metal yard directly adjacent to our neighborhood. The site, now known as Plant Waste, takes in mountains of scrap metal and tosses it around, making a huge noise and leaking toxic fluids everywhere. I have called the DEC in the past because of a heating oil smell coming into our home from the site. I went to the edge of my property and I saw that they had multiple home heating oil tanks leaking oil. The oil goes right into the ground, and then we suck it up like a straw from the groundwater and give it to our kids to drink. At least the public water takes in water from miles away, and it is not so close. In addition to just the oil spill that I witnessed, they also had piles of soil that they had bulldozed around that had also all sorts of batteries in it. The locals have told me that it certainly isn't the first time Planet Waste and Ed Lloyd's Auto Recycling has gotten in trouble with the DEC. So there's a possibility that the site has been polluting the groundwater for 70 years. Number 6, wells running dry. I have been told that a few people in the area had to spend thousands on a new well, and when it was all done, the water is still poor quality. Imagine if my well breaks and then my only choice is to install a new well for $10,000. And then after all that money, the water is terrible, full of sulfur, iron, possible contaminants. Please vote in favor of the 91 Hutchins Road Senior Community. Thank you, Brian M. Hanley. Letter from Ron McCormick. Letting multi-development do senior units would get water for residents on White Oak and Red Oak at a big savings. We would have no expense of running lines, plus would save town because crews would be working on other projects. We would be paying for water only, not the big expense on laying lines. This has been a goal for quite a few years. This would solve a lot of problems for residents. Thank you, Ron McCormick. Letter from Stacy Clark. And I'm not sure if Stacy's in the crowd or not, but I want to, before I do read this letter, I want to let Stacy know that the issue is going to be resolved. Our highway superintendent has spoken to Tom Samuscott, who is the owner of that private road, and there is going to be a barricade going up on that dirt road to block it. I take it you will. You still want me to read your letter then?
I think people want to know what's going on. Yeah.
Hi, Mary Ann. My name is Stacy Clark. I spoke to you on the phone yesterday regarding some of our concerns as a neighborhood in the Creekside Park development, which abuts the Public Voice Family Town Park. As I mentioned, we have had ongoing issues with people driving down the dirt road of the underdeveloped Phase 2 section to dump waste. In addition, our neighbors have made several late-night complaints to the Sheriff's Department because cars have been found driving to that section after dark. We are extremely concerned about the access to this area at night because drug paraphernalia has been found and gunshots are heard regularly. Just a few nights ago, an abandoned car was found at 6:20 the next morning, the owner was seen stumbling barefoot down one of our streets. We are aware that the public has access to the trails, picnic area in the back, and that there are private landowners between our development, trails, and the creek. But we'd like to address the late night traffic, dumping grounds, and partying. We have several young children in our neighborhood, and safety is our utmost concern. I will not be able to attend the board meeting on October 4th, but you are here. However, a spokesperson from our neighborhood, as well as a few others, are willing to represent the neighborhood as a whole. We have discussed our concerns with the builder, Tom Samuscott of Milton Development, the building department, and the sheriffs, but have not yet identified a solution to accommodate everyone's needs while providing a safe environment for our families. At this point, there is a great alarm and concern across our neighborhood, and we feel this issue is an urgent matter. Would you please respond confirming that the 10-4 meeting agenda can accommodate our concern? We appreciate any assistance you were able to provide. Thank you in advance. In regards, Stacy Clark. So like I said, that the matter has been addressed and it will be taken care of. I don't have a time frame on that, but after the highway state, yes, that would be great.
Just so the folks up there know, what we're going to be doing is working with a developer to put concrete barriers on the end of each roadway. We're gonna leave roughly 50 foot for parking, and we're also gonna put signage up, no overnight parking, no parking to certain hours.
Thank you.
So
So
that-
thank you so much.
Well,
Thank
thank
you to
you.
the law enforcement too. They've really been wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Some things do work out well here. so. Okay, letter from Deputy Town Clerk Mevick. To the Town Board, I am requesting to carry over 40 hours of vacation to next year. Mary Ann Mevick, Deputy Town Clerk. So with that, I'd like to have a motion to allow Mary Ann Mevick to carry over 40 hours of vacation. May I have that motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second
Thank you.
it. Any discussion? Councilman Ostrander? Yes. Kerr?
Yes.
Blaisdell?
Yes.
Slattery?
Yes.
Supervisor Luzo?
Yes. Okay, at this time, will Town Clerk Mevick please present the 2018 Town of Milton tentative budget to the Town Board?
The tentative budget was filed in the town clerk's office on September 29th at 5:10 p.m.
As Mr. Mevick hands out the budget, I want to let everybody know what our process is here. It was the Budget Committee's duties to put this tentative budget together the best we could. We are still going to be waiting numbers from our the EFPR group on certain things, and we're supposed to have those numbers before our first budget workshop. But we are confident with the numbers that we have put forth where we are right now. Now, in order to work on this budget, in order to have a budget workshops and have public hearings, the only duty of the town board at this point in time is to actually just to accept the tentative budget. If you don't accept the tentative budget, then there is no workshops, there is no public hearing, and so forth. So basically, that's where we are with everything, and I will go further once we get through this motion. So we need a motion to accept the 2018 Town of Milton tentative budget. May I have that motion, please?
I guess I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Benny. Second. Thank you, Frank.
Is there any discussion? Councilman Ostrander?
Yes.
Kerr?
Yes.
Blaisdell?
Yes.
Slattery?
Yes.
Supervisor Luzo?
Yes. Okay, and as you well know, like I said, we are currently working with the town's auditors, the FPR group, to establish exactly where the town stands with all the reserve funds. We have asked the FPR to have these fund balances resolved by our first budget workshop on 10/10/17. We know everyone is anxious to know this information, including myself. However, it is imperative that we make sure that the work being done is done correctly. At this point, the issue has been the FPR has given us several numbers over the last few weeks that everybody interprets as though that is the final report. But after having examining that with our comptroller in the budget committee, we have found some errors that still needed to be corrected. So I think we are at the final stage of those corrections. We had a conference call with them a few days ago, and I think that we were on track for hopefully for them to get us the information by October 9th, October 10th. I told them that was their deadline. So that's kind of where we stand right now. What I basically would like to do is have everybody, if anybody would like to have the budget, anybody from the public would like to have the tentative budget, they may come in tomorrow. I'm going to ask the town clerk, I'm going to ask Mary Ann Mevick to please have, I should say the deputy town clerk, Mr. Mevick's the town clerk, to have copies of the budget ready on the desk. In case any members of the public would like to come in, you don't have to foil that information. We'll have those be ready available. We are going to be having a budget workshop on October 10th at 6:30 p.m. And I do expect at that point in time where we will delve into many different things as far as this budget. Hopefully we'll have all the figures at that point. But any questions from the board, that we have to get through. The public is more than welcome to come to those meetings, and I actually welcome you to come to those meetings. We will not be accepting comment from the public at that point. This is just for the town board to be asking questions to get through. That's what a budget workshop is all about. when we get at the end of October 10th, what we will do then is have a, if all the questions have been met, then we will then be setting our time for our public hearing on the budget. If the questions have not all been met at the point when we stop, we will be setting another budget workshop for October 24th. But we're not going to set that motion until October 10th to see exactly where we are. So I know this is not what everybody exactly, I mean, the figures where we have, like I said, the budget committee was is fairly comfortable with putting this budget forward. And then, like I said, we will delve into all the numbers, figures, get into where the town board wants to go with several different ways we can do this. This is the best budget that we felt we could put forth at this point in time. So that's that on the budget. Public comment. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Can I just say something?
Oh, I'm sorry, Frank. Just one more thing, just before I wanted to tell everybody, I left out one important thing. October 18th, which is our next town board meeting, that's when we'll be voting on Hutchins Road. I just wanted to make that announcement. But,
okay, I just want to ask my fellow board members to please go through this budget very carefully. If it ends up that we have to come back and go through it page by page, that's what we need to do. Because the way we set this budget is going to really affect our future looking forward. You know, we need to get this one right to set the course to get everything evened out and take care of the town. Thank you.
I concur in spades.
Can I also bring up the subject?
Sure.
Our animal control, what's happening?
Well, that's one of the positions, Barb, that we have within this budget. Now, what we proposed is that we have a full-time dog control officer, not animal control officer, in here. But that is something that the town board will be discussing moving forward.
That's fine, but we don't have one right now.
That's correct, and we don't, and that's why we're asking the county and the village to help us out at this point in time.
Who's covering for us because
Both are.
Yeah.
The county and the village are.
I kind of wish the board had been informed. I kind of got it secondhand that everyone was going.
Well, the reason why we haven't filled the position yet is because we have to discuss if we're going to go full-time or part-time with the position, which encompasses benefits and things like that. So that's one of the things that's going to have to be discussed on October 10th.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anyone else from the board or from the public?
Yeah, I'm going to stand up. I want to invite everybody to a forum on single payer. Everybody knows about the New York Health Act that's passed the Assembly 3 times and almost has passed the New York State Senate. I'm part of a group called Saratoga Health Committee, and we've worked, we're having a presentation on October 12th at the Saratoga Springs Library starting at 6 o'clock. We have 3 speakers. Dr. Jolly, who has done a lot of figures on the savings. The savings for Milton could be as much as $556,000 a year, and the savings for the county are $1 million. Well, I'm not going to go into it now because I have my only 3 minutes. We have Dr. Coates, who talks about single payer, and we have Dr. Hayes, who will talk from Union College, who will talk about comparative other single-payer systems, and I really hope everybody can come. If we do get the New York Health Act passed, we could be saving a lot of money, which would help you with your budgeting.
Thank you.
Do you have information you can leave for us on that?
Yeah, I redacted that because it had...
I can make a copy, but I'd like to keep this for myself.
Sure.
I'll make you a copy. I'll give it back.
That'd be fine.
Thank you very much.
I'm Dr. Christensen from 126 Hutchins Road, and I just want to raise a few last points about the 91 Hutchins Road project. A number of times Mr. T has stated that Mr. Samuscott owns the property at 91 Hutchins Road. According to this report, which is published September 27, 2017, the property is still owned by the Carter family. It is not owned by Mr. Toohey, and the property type is listed as agricultural. The land use type is listed as agricultural, rural, and residence. The other thing I want to bring up is just to reiterate some of the review and approval procedure. And the ones that are key to us are A, the need for the proposed land use or uses at the proposed location. Key point here is at the proposed location. B, existing character of the neighborhood in which the use or uses would be located. Again, our existing character is single-family residential. D, pedestrian circulation and open space configuration in relation to the structures for the actual plan. And as I mentioned before a couple of times, they've got small paths going from one building to a small park, but they don't have paths or walkways through the entire site. In order for somebody to go, let's say somebody's in a wheelchair and they want to get their exercise and go to get their mail, they have to go on the road. There is no pathway around this. There are no sidewalks around this proposed site.
1 minute, Dot.
Okay. Maintenance, safety, impact on neighbors, and aesthetics. We've been over this repeatedly, but I just wanted to mention it again. And compatibility of the proposal to the town's comprehensive plan, town center master plan, and this chapter, which is chapter 18062 of the zoning code. Again, only one mention anywhere in the extensively large comprehensive plan about the need for senior housing. The only place it was mentioned was in the Route 50 corridor, and it said it would be nice to have senior housing and affordable housing. And I think I'll end it there before I get in trouble. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Appreciate
you.
you listening.
Anyone else? Mr. Zanella.
A question. Now that there's some houses going up in Fair Oaks Estate, does the town of Milton have to take care of the roads?
Yes, David, go ahead.
We have not been notified yet, Mr. Zanella. We do have a list together for the developer of actual email that was sent out. Anything that we request that they need to be done if they're going to be requesting winter maintenance before we do that. It is typical to do winter maintenance before it's built out, but there is a list of things that need to be done before that happens.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Mr. Stalters.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Here we are working on a brand new budget. Hopefully it'll be better than the one we had in the past. As far as I know, that one hasn't been corrected yet. It keeps getting pushed off. It's been months since that study was done. When is that going to come to conclusion? And when are we going to know what the answer to that is? Where is our money? Is it there? Has it been misappropriated?
Well,
I think it's something we need to know before we move on to a brand new budget.
Oh, absolutely. The thing is we had to put forth a tentative budget, sir. I mean, that's the rules of the state. I mean, we did, and we're comfortable with the numbers where we are. I think those numbers are going to fluctuate quite a bit, though, as we move forward through this process. We gave them a deadline of October 10th. I mean, that's our workshop. I hope to have those numbers. Like I said, trust me, Jim, I want them as more than you do at this point.
Well, I think everybody wants to know the answer to that.
I know.
It's been kicked around for so long.
Yeah, I hear you.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Dot?
I don't need to go to the podium for this. I just want to remind people that Red Oak and White Oak have 30 houses total within that neighborhood. Our neighborhood, 165 homes are represented on the petitions that we turned in to stop this project, and I really don't like the idea of one neighborhood being fought off against another neighborhood. There was another flyer that was handed out to Red Oak and White Oak today. Unfortunately, it was requesting that people come and push on you guys to vote in favor of the project so that they will get water. Unfortunately, they didn't sign it. I really wish people, if they're going to put things out, that they would sign it. And I don't think the person who did it is here, but I just want to, two different neighborhoods, two different issues, a lot of us in one. Thank you.
Go. Anyone else? Mr. Bogosian. You're so excited to come to the front. I've never seen any excitement inside
Good evening.
your face.
I'm I'm gonna bounce around a little bit. The evening wouldn't be complete unless I got up in the act for my 3.2 seconds or whatever.
3.0.
Jason, thank you very much. I asked Jason last week, I said those trees at Hannaford, they still have the stakes and they're gonna get girdled, and he went right out there and took them out, and thank you very much. I certainly appreciate that. Couple things. It's my understanding if we exceed the 2% cap, we'll lose our star exemption. So think long and hard about that, because a lot of residents in the town are going to lose a lot of money for us exceeding our cap.
I don't believe that's true, sir.
No.
I'm sorry?
I don't believe that's true. I've spoken to the Association of Towns.
Would you give me chapter and verse on that, Mr. Zlotnick? I would appreciate
Not
it.
off the top of my head, I can't do that, sir. I will get that information for you, and I'll have it for you next Tuesday.
Okay, and that's, as I said, it's my
Remember,
understanding.
Remember, we do have a public hearing on this, so you can address these things then, if you choose.
Right, I understand, but I'm trying to give the board a little heads up so that as the decision-making may be as informed as possible, because we are in the position we are now because we did not make informed decisions. Because our protocol for the board is make a motion, a second, discussion. All in favor? Do we really need that $390,000 widget we just voted on? Is our old widget good enough? Can we afford the new widget? We don't have any discussion. How is the board going to deal with the misrepresentation last meeting by the developer? And I'm a developer. I'm all for development, but sometimes it doesn't belong in certain places. And I'm going to correct something I said to the board. I said there's 3 providers of water in the town of Milton, and I was wrong, and I want to stand corrected. There are 4. There's the city of Saratoga Springs, the village of Boston Spa, Heritage Springs, and Rollins Hollow. The people on Red Oak and White Oak deserve to have water. They deserve to have water years ago, and the reason they don't have water is because the people that are developing it, the sewer and the water company, diverted it to their project up the road called Winter Circle. They lied to the board, the planning board. They said that each unit is going to use 100 gallons a day, and in fact they use 180 gallons a day, and they exceed their taking. So the same people that say that you're going to give you water, thank you. The same people that say they're going to give you water are the people who prohibited you from having water before. So I don't know how the board's going to deal with misrepresentations. I tried to bring it up before. I'm available to talk about it at any time. Also, I'm aware the budget's coming up, and I'm also aware that there's been an audit, and I'm also aware there's an audit by the comptroller. And in the comptroller's audit of 2 years ago, the taxpayers in the town of Milton taxed in excess of $630,000 that we are due that money back. And the reason is because the village receives sales tax from the county, the town receives separate sales tax, and there has been a poor county and poor management of the money, and we're entitled to $630,000 back, and that is, that's all right, you can leave those there, because I don't have time to pick them up. That's in the audit. Thank you very much. That's in the audit, done by the comptroller August, it was for the period January 2013 to August 2014. So I will be asking about that when it comes to the public comment period, because the taxpayers in the town of Milton.
Public hearing.
Sorry?
The public hearing.
Public hearing, you're right.
And I hope you do, sir, because I guarantee you, we will have the answer and it will be addressed on October 10th.
That's great, because the response to the comptroller was that the town would make the least amount of impact on the taxpayer as possible, rectify the situation, and that would be simply to return our money or to reduce our taxes. Thank you very much.
Well, you'll be surprised by the answer, Mr. McGovern. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Ralph, that's right, Ralph Cox.
Yep.
When we start to get your name, Ralph, you're starting to get me kind of lumped in with the Bogosians.
Had to follow that. I just want to come back real quick to what I mentioned.
Can everyone please be quiet back there so we can hear this gentleman?
I want to come back real quick to what I mentioned previously in your code, that Chapter 180 zoning talks to public health, safety, general welfare, comfort, and convenience of the public in general, and that of the immediate neighborhood in particular. That's 180-41, which falls out from 180-61, which is where the planned development district comes from. And I can empathize with the people over in Red Oak and White Oak. However, this situation is not a place to pit one neighborhood against another. That has to be taken care of, but it shouldn't be taken care of at our expense. I also wanted to mention the fact that this has come up in the past. In 2013, a similar type of situation for PDD for senior development was put in front of the board. There was a number of reasons given. One is property is R1, and looking at constraints for R1 is the best use for the property. This is Larry Woolbright back at the time that this was had. Keith Leal mentioned that this senior housing is being horned into the site. This is for a property down on Rowland Street where it didn't fit the neighborhood. We've come to a determination in our immediate neighborhood that we don't think this fits our neighborhood either. It's an R1 zone district. I think it should remain that way. I had one last question that I put to the board a few weeks ago, which is on section E of the intensity of residential land use. At that time, you said you didn't know why the intensity of residential land use was not being enforced. And I'm wondering if you've come up with an answer on that yet. That was put forth from the town engineering department, and the statement in return from the development was that one had made a determination senior PDDs are not subject to the intensity requirements. And I don't think that's been answered as to why it's not required yet. So with all that, I'd like to put forth and reiterate that we are against this project, and I think we have the documentation and evidence to prove that. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Stacy, right?
I'm actually speaking for Stacy.
Oh, Stacy isn't here.
I was voted. She's not here. I was voted in by the neighborhood spokesperson. My name is Lisa Peroni. We want to say thank you very much for the resolution at Creekside Park. We're excited about that. We want to again thank the law enforcement. The sheriff's department has been incredible at coming and responding to our calls. We also just have questions about a time frame for the barricade, and also there's 2 entrances. Will there be barricades at both entrances to that road?
We are gonna have those hopefully finished by the end of next week, or the first part of the following week. We'll get to it as soon as we can. It'll be both roadways, barricades on both sides, with 50-foot gravel for parking, and appropriate signage, no all-night parking. And if you see something that you folks don't like, if you would call the highway department, speak to Becky, and one of us will come out and speak to them.
You got that,
I'll give you one.
Thank you very much. Our children will feel much safer.
Ma'am, can you say your name again?
Lisa Peroni. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone? Any last comments, questions, concerns? Okay. Since there's no other further business to come before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting until?
If I could. I asked everybody to go over the survey, the proposal that we had from MJ for working on the town hall and building garage, and everybody's had a chance to read it. I'd like us to talk about it and decide if we're going to do anything with this or not. I personally think it's time that we keep moving, and these guys want to move on. I think we should be moving on.
And just a minute, I'm only one vote on one opinion, Benny, but I do believe at this point in time, because where we stand with the budget and where we are with that current account.